Hi, this is Anthony, and welcome back to my show. In the cast of possible Cooper suspects, some look on the surface to be excellent candidates, and others just barely register as a suspect. Ted Braden and Robert Rackstraw, even Richard Floyd McCoy, have military backgrounds that would tend to indicate that they had the type of skills to pull off the caper, and those gentlemen had sketchy backgrounds that would indicate that it might be something that they would do. I don't believe that McCoy was Cooper, but he certainly semi-successfully pulled off a hijacking a number of months later. Other candidates like William J. Smith simply are a candidate because he looks like Cooper's sketches, and his employer had some economic difficulties in 1971, which some researchers think was motive for him to commit a skyjacking. I think that's a ridiculous conclusion. I know in his case there's a few other circumstantial clues, but I don't think that they're meaningful. One candidate who keeps on getting brought up to me, and who I've done videos on in the past, is Sheridan Peterson. Peterson is one of those suspects that looks like he has a foot in each camp. He was described as a thrill seeker who had a lot of jumping experience, and for a while he was Eric Ulis's favorite suspect. So when going online to check some details in preparation for replying to a comment about Peterson, I found this article on 7 good reasons why Sheridan Peterson is not Cooper. I'm not going to even bother copying their information and going through all of it here. It's best for you just to click on the link, which I'll have in the show notes, and read for yourself. And again, do other research if you think that he's at all a suspect. You can look up the old information that Eric used in trying to link Peterson to Cooper. But I think all the evidence seems to point away from Sheridan Peterson. Sure, he looks a little bit like Cooper, but his eye color's wrong. He genuinely seems like a very nice guy and seems to have spent his whole life helping people, standing up for civil rights, probably working on some type of aid program in Nepal, which would seem to be his alibi, and being there for a number of years, again in particular at the time of the skyjacking. He evidently was a technical writer at Boeing at one time, and evidently in later years was a teacher in California. It does seem as though the FBI pretty much has cleared Peterson, even though some people want to deny that it did. Do I think he probably was in Nepal at the time? I think so. Can I prove it? No. None of us can prove it, unless we have access to his passport. I've not read any FBI report about him. At some point, I'll look to see if it's available online. But I would imagine that the FBI either had access to his passport records or else asked him to show them his passport. Now, I've been able to travel to many countries, and I'm well aware that at this time, if you travel around Western Europe, you often do not get passport stamps between countries. But you go back to other countries and you do. And certainly back in the early 1970s, every country that you're going to upon entry and exit, you're getting stamps. And in many countries you need visas. And passports are things that people tend to keep, even expired ones. So I have to imagine that the FBI probably asked to see his passport, and he probably had it and showed it to them, and they were satisfied that he was in Nepal at the time. Something that wasn't in the article that I've linked to, but in another article talking about Eric Ulis believing at the time that Peterson was Cooper, it mentions that in 1971, Peterson opened a numbered bank account in Singapore. That sounds suspicious, right? Or is it? I mean, obviously, the reason they put it in there makes it sound suspicious, but how suspicious is it? When was the account opened? Cooper committed his crime on November 24, 1971. His ransom demand was for $200,000. We know that at least $5,800 was later found in the sand on the Columbia River. When did Peterson open up that account in Singapore? How much did he put into it? If he flies in from the United States to Singapore on November 29th and deposits, say, $194,000 in $20 bills, then that might be a little suspicious. If he did, one would think that the Singapore bank may have eventually checked the serial numbers on the money against the Cooper serial numbers, and there was a reward if people found any of the money, so there's an incentive for people to check. Is it unusual to have a numbered bank account in Singapore in 1971? I don't know. Generally, when we say numbered bank account, we mean an anonymous one without a name attached to it, often at offshore banks used by people who want to evade taxes in their own country. But I could see other circumstances, and if you think about it, actually all bank accounts have a number. I could see countries like Singapore where you have a variety of people from different ethnic backgrounds that use different languages and alphabets or writing systems, where you have many Chinese people who do not have a standard way of spelling their names using Western characters. So Singapore may just forego worrying about having names on accounts and just going with numbers for bank accounts. Who knows? But the fact, even if it is a fact, that on his way at some point in 1971, he opened up an account at a bank in a stable country with a stable, freely exchangeable currency makes sense. He may also have had a local bank account in Nepal, but I certainly wouldn't want to have much money tied up there due to convertibility issues and currency fluctuation risks. So again, I want to keep this video very short. Did Peterson have the skills where he could at least make a jump under good conditions? Yeah. Does he look like Cooper in black and white photos? Yeah. Was he the right age? Yeah. We have to remember that Cooper was described by the stewardesses and in some FBI reports based on their eyewitness accounts as having thought to have either Mexican or Indian blood, their words, or Italian heritage. That is darker skin. Sheridan, Peterson, and all these other candidates of Northern European ancestry do not match the obvious skin color. And when you look at the color versions of the sketch artist work, you see that Cooper's skin is darker than what we see in the black and white photos of the wanted posters. And Peterson was a very nice guy with not a shred of evidence to indicate that he was a criminal, that he would do something like this and put people at harm or cause stress to stewardesses. It is absolutely out of character for a man who in all respects seems to be a true humanitarian. So check out that link in the show notes, read the article, do some more research, and then let me know what you think about Peterson in the comment section. And please be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the like button. All those things really help me out in building the following that I need here. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.